now.
Great. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Friday, May 5th, 2023 public meeting for the District Clemency Board. The first half hour of this meeting will be open to the public, and the next hour is reserved today for a closed board meeting. Before we begin our meeting today, I just want to provide a reminder about a few housekeeping rules. First, make sure your microphones are muted when you're not speaking. If they have questions, hold them, and we'll have a period for questions. However, you can also take advantage of the chat function to send questions in, and we'll happily address them during the Q&A portion of the meeting. Today, our staff director, Parisha Dixon, is on leave and will not be with us. So we are lucky to have former staff director, Christina Sacco, present and sitting in her place. So welcome back, Christina, and thank you. I'd also like to take attendance of the board members present so we can make sure we have a quorum, which I think we do. So let me know when I call your name. Emily Gunston.
Here.
Brian Ferguson.
Present.
Mike Porcello.
Here.
Katya Semyonova.
Here.
Elena Suttenberg. Felisa Carter? Not yet. And Indira, I know, is not going to be here today. So I believe that we do have a quorum. Am I correct? Yes. Okay.
Right.
Great. So the first item on our agenda is new business. And I want to just mention that we're excited to announce our second community event has been scheduled. It will be held on Tuesday, June 6th. Tuesday, June 6th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And it will be hosted at the Southwest Neighborhood Library, which is in Southwest, walking distance from the Metro and very close to the King Greenleaf Recreation Center. The date has been confirmed with the speakers who will again present, and materials are being prepared as we speak for dissemination both at the meeting and ahead of time. And they'll be sent to board members as well, so that we really would appreciate you promoting the event, circulating it through your partners and stakeholders and community members, and the relationships that you've built through the board. It's a really important thing that board members, actively pursue that as well. And we're hoping to have the event live streamed to those who have DC code offenses within BOP facilities, similar to the Community Day of video conference we participated in last December. And we'll get updated on that before the event by Persa. Really looking for a great turnout and rely on you for your help in making that happen. We'll have materials for you to send out electronically and hard copy if you need them to organizations in the reentry space or people who believe can benefit from that information. And once those are completed and approved, you'll get those by email, and you can speak with Persa about how to get hard copies if you need them. We'll need someone at this event to present on behalf of the board. Emily was kind enough to do that last time, and it's much appreciated. Is anybody willing to do it? I think Emily can tell you what it was like for her, if she'd like, how challenging it was or not.
I'm happy to. It wasn't challenging at all, and it was a really, really fantastic event. There were a lot of folks there listening and really engaged, and the other speakers, including somebody who had received federal clemency, was just really moving and inspiring and reinvigorated me for the work. So I'd have to check my calendar. I'm happy to do it again. I enjoyed it so much, but I really encourage other folks to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, you did a great job. And you'll get basic scripting from Parisa so that you'll have the basic content of what you need. But it's really kicking off sort of here's the role of the Clemency Board and going through some of the basics of what we do. So is there anybody who would be willing to take that role this time? Anybody? June 6th.
I really am happy to do it again, Patrick, and I think I'm available that date, but I want to make sure that other folks have the opportunity if they're available and they want to do it. It really is fantastic.
Sure. I appreciate that.
I think you did great, Emily. And I may be part of PDS's presentation, or I would, so I'm not going to volunteer, but yeah, I think you did a great job.
Great. Okay. If there is a board member who's willing to do it, Emily, I really appreciate your offer. You did a great job. And if you would go ahead and do it, that'd be fantastic. And then we'll make sure that we switch out for the third meeting, which will be a few months from now. So thank you for that.
I am happy to do it for that third meeting. I unfortunately actually have a conflict that day, which is why I'm sitting here silently, but I am happy to do it on the third one, if that works.
Great. All right, you're on. Thanks, Mike. We also need a board member to serve as timekeeper at that. It's funny, the timekeeping role is pretty important. Last time we sort of ran out of time for audience participation and for questions from the community, and I would like to make sure that we have a little bit more of an opportunity for that this time. So the timekeeper role, last time Felisa did that, she was great. But is there anybody who can be the timekeeper on June 6th?
Unless there's a reason I can't do both, Patrick, I'm there anyway. I certainly don't mind doing it.
I'm also happy to do it, except for if I'm part of the PDS. I'm assuming that there's going to be a PDS presentation, so I don't want Emily to have to do everything.
Sure.
So, but I'm happy to do it for all parts if I'm not part of that, or.
The PDS presentation also was fantastic last time. I encourage folks, even if you don't want to speak at one of the events, to consider coming to one of them. I was thinking last time, I wished I had brought my daughter. It just was a really wonderful and inspiring event, and I think really important and helpful to folks to understand all the different resources and lack of resources that are available.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was a tremendous event and very chock full of information. And you got to see the real players involved in the whole process, which was really fantastic. Okay, so we'll figure out the timekeeper role if no one's able to do that right now. We'll get something figured out. Our problem is there's not another board meeting before the public event, so that's why we're trying to get as much of that handled today.
Patrick, you said that the location is the King Greenleaf Rec Center?
No, I'm sorry. It's the Southwest Neighborhood Library, which is right by King Greenleaf. Yeah, over in Southwest. Okay, if there's nothing else on that, we'll go on. I just want to talk a little bit about community engagement and application inquiries and some of the other issues that have been coming up. We're continuing to do engagement activities, and particularly Parisha is doing them on behalf of the board. She met with the director of the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizens and the pardon attorney, Liz Oyer, and her team, along with Mr. Norman Brown, who is someone who has received clemency in the federal system, and approximately 15 returning community members with DC code and federal convictions that MORCA recognized as doing outstanding work in the community. So this is really a very important conversation with both the federal pardon attorney and with local officials in DC. And the purpose was to learn about DOJ's clemency process, dispel myths that the community might have about clemency and the process, and then to answer any questions or concerns. Parisha introduced the DC Clemency Board, our application process for a letter of recommendation, and she gave out applications to 10 of those present who had DC code offenses. She reported that the meeting was a success. Many questions were answered, concerns were voiced, and valuable information was shared. As a matter of fact, she has started to undertake sort of a review of some of the public information that we're putting out there, both on our website and in paper format, that gets disseminated based on some of the very articulate questions she got at that meeting. I also was able to participate in the Department of Justice Second Chances event, which was held at Main Justice last month. It was a half-day presentation of including many of the significant pardons, people who were pardoned in the District of Columbia over the past several years, most obviously for federal offenses. but also to get a really deep and abiding understanding of the implications for families and for family systems at the benefit of clemency, and really how you're helping to stitch families back together by bringing significant loved ones home. And to hear the testimony of both those people and of their families was also very enriching. A number of federal judges who sit in DC were also present, which was pretty wonderful as well. And then many family members and both the defense bar and prosecution were present too. So it was a really uplifting and powerful event. Liz Oyer did a magnificent job. The Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, was also present and spoke, as was Kristen Clark, who is I believe, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Also did an amazing presentation herself on the statistics and the impact of clemency. So it was a wonderful event. Amazing to see the number of people in the room who are actually local DC residents who have, participated in the clemency process, and to hear their stories and then to be able to speak with them afterwards. I was also proud to say that a number of them have also found employment, in the district, both in district government and in private sector in DC, and how important that was for their families as well. So that was a terrific day. Really happy to be part of it. I also wanted to tell you that Parisha has received an updated list of all the reentry coordinators in the Bureau of Prisons facilities. And she has a fact sheet with easy to digest information about clemency, the clemency board, our process, and the differences between our board and the DOJ pardon attorney. She'll send this to us soon for feedback and hopes to send it to the list of BOP reentry coordinators to have inside their facilities, along with promotional materials for the event once they're approved. We've received 2 new applications and continuing to receive inquiries from persons located in BOP facilities, their loved ones, and returning persons who are in the community. Since our last meeting, we've mailed several paper applications to persons in BOP facilities and handed out paper applications at events, and then starting to respond to several new inquiries via phone, mail, email, and CoorsLink, the BOP communication system. And CoorsLink was an idea that she was given by a board member on our board. And that's really started to be a very productive way for her to communicate with folks at BOP. So of the 2 new applications that we received, one was closed last week because it was a federal offense from Maryland. The other application is still pending, and the applicant has just a few signatures on releases to continue to provide. But that applicant appears to qualify otherwise preliminarily. So the applicant is now out of custody and has maintained contact with Parisha, and we're hopeful to have this application become complete very soon, which would be our first application going through. Parisha is still seeing a pattern of application inquiries from persons with federal charges and confusion between this board and the pardon attorney's authority. In these instances, she's really started to take on the education aspects of the role and helping with eligibility requirements, understanding those eligibility requirements, and then providing contact information, website, and others for the U.S. Pardon Attorney's Office that are provided. We're creating a very good working relationship with the pardon attorney, and really grateful for the work that Parisha has done to really move that ball forward. Does anybody have any questions on those announcements that I just made, or comment on the events? Okay. Now, on the mock application records process, the board's begun the process of evaluating a mock application for a recommendation to request a commutation. Board members should have received the mock application records in your box accounts. Christina can help if you don't have that. I believe that you do. And we're going to host a hearing for this mock applicant, the victim, and the mock applicant's sister later this month in anticipation of evaluating an actual application very soon. So those are all the announcements for the public meeting. Are there any comments? I don't see Professor Moyd on my screen, but I'm not sure if there's any member of the public still present.
We also have a someone who joined via telephone. I'm not sure if that is Felisa. It's a 202 number. So any comments?
I don't have any comments. Hello, everyone. I am not a member of the board, but if you need someone to be a timekeeper at the event, I am pretty good at keeping my students on task and would volunteer to help out.
Very much appreciate that. Thank you. You're on. Plus, to keep you in practice, once school gets back in you.
No problem.
Very good. Thank you, Professor. Appreciate that very much.
And this is Ilana. I'm
Okay.
really sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry that I was late to the meeting today. You may have already talked about this, the Department's Second Chances Act. I was unable to make it because I was out of town, but there is a recording available online that I can put in the chat if anybody's interested in watching that. It was a great event that put on by the pardon attorney and the department.
Yeah, so I did mention that. I was actually present for it and really thought it was fantastic. If you could put that in the chat, I'd urge people to take a look at it. It was a great event. It gives you heart for the work that we do, and really, really important. So it was great. Thanks for that. Okay, if there are no public comments, we can go ahead and let's figure out a date for July for our next public meeting. In June, we will not have a public meeting because we'll be doing this community event. And so our next meeting, public meeting, would be in July. I know we have the 4th of July, which is on a Tuesday this year. So I was thinking perhaps we would go to the week after that so that it doesn't interfere with that. So I'm looking at Friday, July 14th at 10:30. Is anybody, I see one thumbs up, 2, 3.
That's good for me as well.
4.
I'm sorry, Patrick, what's the date?
July 14th,
Fine
10:30.
with me. Yep.
Great. Okay. Katya, I didn't see a thumbs up. It works? Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, so we're
I was
gonna.
nodding.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the 14th, July 14th at 10:30 will be our next public meeting, and we'll be sure to let Indira and Felisa know as well. Okay, so there will be a closed board meeting later this month in addition, which will be where we go through the mock hearing and things. Today, we'll go into closed meeting now, though, to start to address some of the administrative issues. And we'll figure out the scheduling for that closed meeting in the closed meeting that we're entering now. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Great, we're adjourned. Thank you all. Professor Moyd, thanks for joining us, and I'll see the board members. You have another invite and another panelist, a separate panelist password, so you can take a look there. Anything else, Christina? No. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody.